Ever since the release of Star Wars The Last Jedi by writer and director Rian Johnson, a lot of people around the world disagree with the direction of the character in the movie. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, today I wanted to focus on the character of Luke in the sequel trilogy so far in The Force Awakens and in The Last Jedi. Now, especially focusing in on The Last Jedi, a lot of people disagreed with the direction of this character and what Luke did in the movie until the very end of the film. Also, a lot of people did not agree with how he died and stuff like that. You know, the list goes on and on. Now, recently, just today, Lucasfilm, actually responded to the fans and people on Twitter / the internet about the character of Luke in the sequel trilogy so far, from Episode 7 and Episode 8. Now, this originates from Phil Shostak. He's actually the Lucasfilm creative art director, or should I say manager, and he actually was able to talk a little bit about Luke Skywalker in a discussion. If you guys would like to check it out, it's all below in the description and in the comment section. It's a very interesting conversation for sure. And this is what Phil had to say. So he states, "My first image I made for Star Wars The Force Awakens. This was January of 2013. Luke was being described as a Carl Kurtz type hiding from the world in a cave. I got a George Lucas Fabuloso on it to boot. Lucasfilm design supervisor Christian Alsman." Alright, so he goes on to state, "At this point in the story, 30 years after the fall of the Empire, Luke has gone to a dark place. He always had this potential dark side within him, being that his father was Darth Vader. So he is really struggling with that, which is what Doug Chiang said back in May of 2013 in the Art of the Last Jedi book. So Phil Shostak had this to say. He ended up secluding himself in this Jedi temple on a new planet, and he's just there meditating, reassessing his whole life. Gradually over the arc of the movie, he rediscovers his vitality and comes back to himself. Also from Doug Chiang, May 2013. This is what Phil Shostak is actually talking about right here, these older quotes. So Adam, he's a producer of Yahoo Entertainment, and he had to say, "So correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like Luke in The Last Jedi was fairly consistent with, or at least inspired by Lucas's vision." And Phil Shostak had this to say, "I will say so, yes. I worked on The Force Awakens from pretty much the very beginning and was present at the January 16th, 2013 meeting at Skywalker Ranch with George Lucas that Christian mentions here, and that is described in greater detail in the Art of the Last Jedi." Adam from Yahoo says, "I own that too, but love that you're here to expand upon those points, as that was my reading on everything in both the Art of the Last Jedi and The Force Awakens." Phil goes on to conclude, "But of course, Adam, and who could resist a golden opportunity to plug the books?" So, what's really interesting about not only him responding to the fans overall about the character of Luke Skywalker and how it was George Lucas influenced, apparently, but he also went over the original concept of Luke Skywalker in the sequel trilogy by quoting Doug Chiang. Very interesting stuff, guys. I gotta say, the whole concept of Luke struggling with the dark side, I think is something that a lot of fans would have preferred to see in The Last Jedi. You know, prior to The Last Jedi's release, and at the time we only pretty much knew nothing about Luke Skywalker other than the fact that he was just on this island. We actually thought that they would be expanding off of what was actually told in the Art of the Last Jedi and all of those older quotes and ideas. And we got the total opposite of that. So, the biggest quote here, that I do want to go over once more is, of course, when the Yahoo producer says, he actually goes on to say, "So correct me if I'm wrong," he's talking to Phil from Lucasfilm, "correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like Luke in The Last Jedi was fairly consistent with, or at least inspired by Lucas's vision." And Phil says, "I would say so, yes. I worked on The Force Awakens from pretty much the very beginning and was present at the January 2013 meeting at Skywalker Ranch with George Lucas." So basically, George Lucas gave the go, He gave the okay, if you will, for this type of Luke Skywalker in the sequel trilogy. So it's a very interesting conversation. It's a very interesting discussion about the character of Luke, the original plans, and basically The Last Jedi / The Force Awakens version of Luke Skywalker is inspired by George Lucas. It's influenced by George Lucas, the creator. He gave the okay on a lot of the different ideas. So with that being said, guys, this is a big story today. A lot of people are talking about it. And, you know, if you look at Luke and the original concepts for The Force Awakens, quite honestly, I think that they would have been a better fit for The Last Jedi. I mean, Luke battling the dark side because he comes straight from Darth Vader, having that dark side, you know, kind of problem within him, I think that would have been a very cool and interesting story. Especially if Luke was exploring the dark side of the Force because he's all alone on this island and wouldn't be able to harm anybody anyway. Would have been another cool aspect as well. You know, imagine Luke Skywalker being able to pretty much, you know, go to his limits and kind of like tap into the dark side without fully going dark. That would have been such a cool and unique take on Star Wars. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.